Hi everyone, this is Jen from Sundance Vacations, and I'm here to do a Tieks review on my ballet flats. I just purchased a pair of olive green Tieks, and let me begin by saying this video is my initial reaction to the Tieks ballet flats. So I did a lot of research on Tieks for a travel article that I was writing for Sundance Vacations, and I figured that if these were as amazing as the different reviews online were for Tieks, then this is something that our travelers definitely needed to know about. However, if you're very precise about how you spend your money like me, you might be a little shocked by the sticker price of a pair of Tieks. So I got this pair of Tieks from their classic boutique, and they were $175 a pair. Which, wow, yes, that is a lot of money. It's probably more expensive than all of the flats and sandals that I have in my closet right now. So it leads to the question that a lot of women are asking. Are Tieks worth the price? Let's take a look at what exactly you're paying for. So the initial cost of a pair of Tieks seems elevated, but it's partially because they're all handmade. The Tieks team personally cuts the leather used in your shoes to size and does all the stitching the old-fashioned way by hand. According to Tieks' website, each shoe takes about 3 days for someone to make because there are almost 150 steps to the shoemaking process. So that means that every shoe is unique and has a little bit of an added touch of extra love and attention, which is really cool because it's something that you probably wouldn't get if you purchased a designer brand shoe that was manufactured by a machine. You're also paying for the material they use to make the shoes. So Tieks only uses high-end materials that were specifically designed for durability. This means that they are able to withstand the wear and tear of day-to-day use and stay in a very pristine condition for much longer than a cheaper flat would. Tieks is made of fine Italian leather that comes in over 50 different patterns, so you have a ton of options. They even have a vegan line of shoes made out of fabric, which is awesome for people who don't like leather and want to ensure that no animals were harmed in the making of their shoes. But are they as comfortable as some Tieks reviewers say that they are? The high-end material was actually designed as well for comfortability. So let's take a look at the anatomy of a pair of Tieks ballet flats. As you can see, each shoe has 2 bright blue rubber pads adhered to the bottom. You might already know this, but these are Tieks' signature blue trademark, and every pair of Tieks has these and a blue stripe down the back of each shoe, regardless of the style that you choose. They are also designed to take the shock of you walking, cushioning each step to keep your feet from aching after all-day wear, according to Tieks' CEO. The inside is also an advanced foam cushion, and the leather itself is soft to minimize rubbing against your skin. Many women say because of the design they had no break-in period and their shoes were comfortable from the moment they put them on. I, however, kind of want to share my experience because I think I had a little bit of a different one, but I'll get to that in a moment because I want to look at the last 2 things that you pay for when you buy a pair of Tieks, and one of them is how compact they are for when you travel. Each shoe folds in half and tucks into itself and can be squeezed into a small black bag to keep it compact in your suitcase or even in your purse. This is super convenient for when you're on the go and want to kick off your uncomfortable heels or shoes and throw on your Tieks flats. They even give you an extra bag to toss your other shoes in after you throw on your Tieks. The last thing you're paying for is Tieks' Attentive customer service. People rave online about how responsive their Tieks team is and how they're so quick to address any concerns or issues that you might have. Because the company only sells shoes online and you can't try them on in the store, they are bound to have people who need to try on a different size. And because they don't sell half sizes like a 6.5 or 7.5, it's more important than ever that they have a very responsive team that can help you pick the right pair for you. So now I'm going to tell you about my personal experience with Tieks after all of that. As I was saying, I was writing a travel article and I embedded a link to that in the description below if you wanted to read it to learn more about it. But this was the first time that I had ever made a purchase like this. I've never spent this much money before on a pair of shoes. So as a size 7.5, I really didn't know whether I should be a 7 or an 8. So I reached out to Lisa and told her about my current sizes in flats, as I'm a 7 there, and 8 in sneakers, and she had suggested I do the 8. However, I had read some reviews online about girls saying that they sized down if they were a 7.5. So I did that and ordered the 7. And I should have listened to Lisa because the 7 were actually very tight around my toes and the pads of my feet and kind of squished them together. I ended up getting the pair of 8s with a new shipping label to send the 7s back. And even when I had received the 8s, I had required a signature so that they wouldn't just be dropped off on my doorstep and possibly taken while I wasn't home. And I was super happy to have such an attentive representative that was just genuinely happy to help me find the right pair. I also like that the back design is padded and curved like a U instead of a hard V back like most flats. I actually bought this $10 pair of flats at Walmart that look a lot like the chestnut Tieks to see if they stood up against them. And I wore these Walmart pair for about 3 hours at work, and the back started breaking my skin on my heel, and I had to take them off. I definitely like how the Tieks don't rub in the back. However, my Tieks do rub a little bit in the front, where you look at this U shape here by my toes, particularly on the left. The first day I wore my Tieks for about an 8-hour workday, and I actually had to stop home on my lunch to grab a bandage to put on the spot that was rubbing. But it was just on the left shoe. I inspected to see what the problem was and discovered that whoever made this shoe didn't cut the fabric down as tightly against the thread as they did on the right pair, and the edge was rubbing. I mean, who would notice something like that before you actually wore it? And I don't blame the Tieks team for something like that. It's just one of those small imperfections that you find when somebody is hand making a shoe. I actually tried to get in there with a little pair of scissors and snip the fabric, but it still is bothering me, and I'm honestly not sure what I'm going to do yet to solve the problem. I'm also hoping that the fabric loosens, particularly around my big toe. So on these particular pair of flats, your big toe sometimes will pop up, and a lot of people don't like that look. The look doesn't really bother me. I just want the fabric to loosen a little bit because I feel like after wearing them all day, my big toe and my toenail specifically will start to ache from the pressure being applied down on it. So I'm just hoping that that loosens up as well. The padding on the bottom of the shoe is good. I felt much more support in these shoes than in other flats, even in my Converse sneakers, but I wouldn't say I'd be confident wearing these if I were walking around at, say, Disney all day. I could try it, but based on my wearing habits these past few days, I think my feet would ache a little if I wore them on vacation. So I know that these shoes don't have padding like a sneaker would with arch support, but for $175, I'm just trying to do a very thorough review. I'm really hoping that they loosen up and I end up loving these Tieks. If not, luckily, I know that they have a very high resale rate on sites like eBay and Poshmark that sell lightly used items. I know that I've seen like new versions of Tieks or gently worn that are selling for only $15 or so less than the original cost, which even though sites like that keep a portion on your end, you would still be making about 3/4 of the price of your shoe back if you don't like them. Overall, many women are in love with Tieks. They absolutely adore them and own 5 or 6 pairs. I'm hoping that in a little bit of time that I break into mine, that I become one of those girls too, because I really love how they look and love the idea of a very comfortable flat shoe. So definitely let me know about your experience with Tieks in the comments below, and if you have any suggestions for how I could stretch out my shoes or break them in, that would be great too. And as always, be sure to subscribe to Sundance Vacations on YouTube for more travel news and updates.